So what this shrinkage? I mean, the forest, they should have grown bigger, but they are shrinking.
Yeah.
So, in next future, what do you predict? What
See,
will be the scenario?
Yeah, the scenario is very means it's not very positive, but you look at the way we are developing, the country is developing. We have 120 crore population in India, and they require, our development is energy extensive, means energy based development. So you require power, you require water, and you can generate power by means ultimately through thermal power projects. So the coal based power projects. So you require coal, you require natural resources, you require water, and all these resources, they come from the forest. You build the dam and you cut the forest for getting hydropower. So ultimately, forest is a loser. So we have lost huge amount of forest for hydro projects. We have lost huge amount of forest for irrigation projects. Now we are losing forest for coal reserves. So ultimately, energy extensive development is causing larger impacts on the ecosystem, and we have 628 protected areas like sanctuaries, national parks, tiger reserves in the country, and it's a tough job to protect them, because you have to protect these protected areas as well as you have to protect the corridors, and ultimately all these projects, they are coming up in the corridors. So you cannot say no to these projects, because you need power, you need development, industrial development, you need agriculture, you need more food grains, etc., to meet the hunger of the people. And ultimately it has to come from the agriculture sector, it has to come from the industrial sector, and that really needs power. So ultimately we have to decide that yes, development is essential, but how to do that? Because you have limitation as far as the land is concerned, and the natural resources are concerned. We cannot consume the natural resources which are meant for the next generation. You don't have right. These are inherited. These are borrowed from the next generation. It is not inherited from our ancestors. So we have to give these natural resources back to the next generation without harming them, without destroying them. So it's a tough job towards the policymakers, planners, and all of us to save these natural resources and minimize our consumption and requirements and the overall carbon footprint. So it's really a tough job today when you look at the pace of development and the way these projects are coming, like the I told you some of the projects, but apart from them you need railway. There are a lot of linear projects like the railways, the highways, then the power lines, and these are cutting across these landscapes, and especially the wildlife corridors, and every day you see some animal is poached because of electrification, because of the highway, there are accidental deaths, etc. So these linear projects have become like a slaughterhouse for the wild animals. So it's very tough to protect the forest. Talk about the sustainable development. What is the sustainable development? Is it a sustainable development? So you need to be very cautious while planning these projects. Means we are not saying no to projects, but every project has to come with certain sense of responsibility. Means when you think about the highway, planning the highway through the township, you already think about the human population crossing the highway, giving them flyover, etc. Like there are cattle, so you provide the cattle passes so that they should safely cross the highway. Similarly, when your highway pass through the forest area or the wildlife corridor, you have to think about the wildlife deaths. So you have to provide the safe passage to the wild animals. So we are not saying no to a highway through the wildlife wildlife corridors, No doubt we are totally against of having these highways through the tiger reserves and the protected areas. There should be bypass to all these protected areas, like the human townships or the human settlements. But as far as the wildlife corridors are concerned, there should be mitigation measures planned by the respective agencies, because forest department don't have that much amount even for the protection of the forest. Forget about implementing mitigation measures. So I think while planning these developmental activities, Indian government will have to spend huge amount for mitigation measures and implementing these measures in the corridor.